All right, guys, we're back. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host Heather C. So, Unexpected season 5, the finale, episode 13 has aired. This is part 2 of the podcast. We have 2 more couples to talk about before the 2-part tell-all begins next Sunday, which we are super, super excited about. So let's talk about Lily and Lawrence, right? So we watched them move into their new place this season, and we've watched them plan a wedding. And they've actually found a venue that Lawrence assumed was going to be $50,000, and it is not $50,000. It isn't even $20,000. It's $15,000 for full use of the venue, full catering, DJ, everything that they need. So now that they understand what the venue entails and they can afford it, the families are now kind of pushing away and kind of telling them, hey, you don't have to do this, take your time. So this is kind of mixed signals, because we know that Lawrence's mom, Sandy, in the beginning was pushing them to get married. As soon as Lily got pregnant, she was like, you guys need to get married. You definitely need to get married. What are you waiting on? Get married. And now that the baby is here and they're in a good place and they're living together, she feels, I was wrong for pushing them. They should be ready. And she's telling them now, hey, take your time. And now Lily and Lawrence feel ready. They don't feel that they're rushing into it. They feel like we live together, we have kids together, we're co-raising children, we're combining finances. This is not a big step for us. So they're ready, and now it kind of seems like their parents aren't. And we learned that Lily's mom, Kim, feels like, I want her to have doubt. I want her to second guess. And I don't think that that's fair. When you're planning a wedding and you're with someone that you love and you have kids together, I don't like when people plant doubt and try to downplay relationships that way. I mean, I know that you should always be really sure about what you're doing, but I'm not 100% on board with the way the parents are handling this.
I know, I agree. I think that maybe that they said that because they kind of thought at the back of their mind that maybe they weren't going to be able to afford it. So they're like, oh, you guys should hurry up and go get married, thinking that, and then the plan backfired on them, where they're like, oh, okay, that's not bad at all. Because I mean, it's funny, like her sister picked out this really, like, in her words, bougie place where, you think like golf course, you think like all this fine dining, this has to be out of their price range. So when the guy, came at them and was like, oh yeah, this is 15,000 and everything's included. I think that they were like, oh crap, like this is doable. But I get where their moms are coming from, because it's like, okay, yeah, they already have a child, they already live together, they're playing house. But sometimes, not all occasions, but sometimes when people make it official, that's when things fall apart. So they probably just want to make sure, like, okay, you just moved in together. Give this a year or so, see how you do. See how it is, struggling, paying bills, paying for the kids. Because we've already seen them fight. So we already saw, that they, live together and everything. So I don't know. I think that they probably should wait. They are young. They have their whole lives to get married. And just see, where the first year or so takes them to.
I mean, I can agree. I mean, I don't like the way the parents went about it, but marriage is a huge step. And like you said, they've been living together a short amount of time, and we did see them fight about a lot. So I do feel like you should be ready to get married, and there's no rush. Like when people get a ring on their finger, sometimes people feel like there's an expiration date. Like you have to get married in a certain amount of time. And that ring is just a promise and commitment to that person. That promise and commitment can happen at any time. There's no time period on it. And I just want to see them grow. And I want to see Lily get more involved in the finances and more involved in the running of the household, so they're more of a team. And Lawrence has to understand how hard she works at home. Stay-at-home mom works harder, if not harder, than a construction worker or doctor or nurse. They're constantly in care of 2 people in her household, in her situation. So I just want to see them ready. I know they love each other. That's never been a question. But I just want them to be ready for this huge commitment. And we might watch the tell-all next week, and they might already be married. We don't know if they actually took that time or not. So we're going to have to wait till next week and see. All right, so let's slide over and switch gears a little bit. So we watched Kylan and Jason come back. They were gone last week, and we watched them leave the hospital, which Jason had nothing but horrible things to say about the hospital. We actually found out that there is a security guard outside the room just to make sure that Jason stayed in line. I have never heard of anything like that in my life. He is ready to go home. They take the baby home, which he has like a really loud exhaust on his car. I know a lot of people, they take a certain part off their muffler to make that sound. I'm gonna wonder if that's gonna be an issue for Xavier, because babies and loud noise, and it causes like a vibration sound like in your ear. So I'm wondering if he's gonna have to get that taken care of. So when they get home, we find that Jason does not want to give any time to Kylan. He wants to keep Xavier in his arms with him at all times. And he's almost greedy with the baby, which is interesting because we were all worried about the type of father that he's going to be. I think he's a great father. It's just his maturity level that is lacking. He's immature, and he's trying to be the mother and the father, and there's no need for that. Kylan is physically present and willing to be there, and there's no need to keep Xavier from his mom.
I don't know if I would say he's a wonderful father. I mean, I think that he has potential of being able to get there with due time. I think that if he was really truly a great father, he would have started in the birth when the mother was in excruciating pain and she was exhausted. He wasn't exactly thinking of Xavier at that time, because if she would have gotten sick or ill or not be able to push, he could have died at birth. So I would say that in due time, he could have potential of being a good father. He has a lot of growing up to do. And the fact, like, I wouldn't say they were probably just joking around, but she wasn't taking it as a joke when she's like, I want my baby or whatever. And he was like, no, it's mine or whatever. But it's like, come on. Like, it's not a rag doll. It's a human being. And, the mom has to have time to bond with the baby as well. This time is very detrimental. This is when the baby senses smells. That's how they could recognize who mom is, who dad is, and such. So, I mean, I never understood how his parents, Jason's parents, they are, in the house with them, but they have this like fear of him. Like the way they do their interviews and the way they talk about him, they're just very like stiff. Like they don't want to say the wrong thing, almost like he's standing in the corner like, I wish you would say something. Like it's weird. It's weird because his dad is like a big dude. You would think he'd be like, I'm gonna smack you if you don't get your stuff together. And the fact that they're both like, he's my son and I don't always agree with him. Like, I feel like there's so much more he could do. And even the mom was like, I need your card. I need to be able to pay for this or whatever. It's like, get yourself together. Support yourself. Support Xavier. Support your little family that you created. That's what's going to make you a good father. Sitting around like a deadbeat, wanting everybody else to buy formula and diapers is not going to make him a good dad. So this is no roast, because I know that, Kylan loves him to pieces and, God bless her soul on this one. But this is no hate towards either one. I want the best for them because they're two young people trying to make it in this world like the rest of the people, but they need to learn how to act, and they have to put Xavier first. They have to.
I agree. And they have to see eye to eye too, because we heard Jason say in his interview that he doesn't trust Kylan anymore because they had a birth plan and she kind of went rogue. He, in his opinion, in my opinion, she didn't. She made the best decision for her. But in Jason's opinion, she went rogue with the birth plan and she started making decisions without him, which is perfectly fine. They're not married. Jason is not her parent. She can make decisions completely without Jason, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he's like, oh, well, I don't trust her. I have trust issues with her. You have to trust the person you love. Otherwise, the relationship won't work. And that's part of the immaturity, I think, that he has, because he thinks that he can be in a relationship with someone and not trust them. You cannot. I mean, you can, but it's never really going to be a healthy relationship. Without trust, there's no relationship. There's no love. There's always going to be animosity, and you're going to be snooping around, and you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be able to breathe in that relationship. And I just want them to mature together. I feel like Kylan is mature, but she's kind of catering to Jason and how he feels. And she's giving Jason what he needs. She says what he wants to hear. She does what he wants her to do. But I don't feel like that's who Kylan is. I feel like Kylan is a mature woman and she is a good mother and she knows how to stand up for herself, but she's given up so much of herself for this relationship that she's losing sight of who she really is.
I agree and I don't. I think that she's very well aware, and I think that she's blinded by the D. I mean, it is what it is. Like, she seems to think that she cannot do any better for whatever reason. He got her whipped because, I mean, she turned her back on her own mom, her father who's dying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. She's in her own little world. And like I said, bless their hearts on this one. But I am so amped for this tell all because he looked all types of crazy. I'm so excited about this.
I'm very excited as well for the tell-all, guys. That's it for part 2. We have seen all the couples, all the babies being born, all the drama, and now it is time for the 2-part tell-all starting next week. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, thanks for supporting us in the podcast and supporting these young couples through their difficult, complex relationships. And thank you to the couples for letting us into your lives and seeing the things and the drama going on from the inside. And I can't wait to see all of you at the tell-all next week. We will be live tweeting it. You should also be live tweeting it with us. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Heather C. We will talk to you all very soon.